Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Sword of the Stars. This is Sakane, and in this episode we'll talk about colonization, I think. So, oh, well, I made a little mistake there, so I ended the turn, but I didn't set my research, which means all our resources got invested in money, which is not the end of the world, but just means we're one turn behind on the research that we wanted. Okay, so last time I said that this guy here was a nice planet, but we wouldn't colonize it right away. So why is that? So actually size 8 is great, and resources 6.8k is amazing. So this is actually like a really, really strong planet. But it's a little on the unforgiving side in terms of terraforming. It's not too bad. I don't know. This is almost... I think I'm gonna wait it out. Although honestly, the problem with Hiver is that it's so slow to discover these other systems that sometimes you've got to make these terrible decisions where early on you've got to decide to colonize something that's very unforgiving. But here's why it's so difficult. This thing is going to cost me $65,000 a turn in maintenance until I can get it terraformed, and that's going to take a lot of turns to terraform because we don't have a lot of technology yet. $65,000 is a huge fraction of how much money I make each turn, right? That's like, I'm only making $275,000, right? So that means that a huge chunk of my pie, which is now going to research or building ships, is going to have to go to just maintaining this colony. So, as a general rule, you probably want to keep your first colonies to climate hazards under 300. There is actually a nice formula that I found online somewhere where you basically can score how good a planet is for colonization. And the idea is you kind of, well, there are different, I guess, ways of looking at it, but compare this number and this number divided by 1,000. So this is like 8 plus almost 7, basically. So you add those two, those are pluses, and then you take this number and divide it by 100, right? So it's just to bring things down to scale. So, this is, say, 14 or 15, and then minus 4, so that gives you like 10 or 11. So that's actually a pretty good score, on that scale. If we, so that means that if you had a really big world, that might offset for lower resources or a high climate hazard. As a general rule, low climate hazard, big size, big resources, pick 2. Right? That's how you're going to choose what to colonize. So I'm going to wait until I see, like, that guy's going to get there in 5 turns, and I think this guy's going to get here in, that guy over there, 4 turns. So let's wait 5 turns, see if we find anything else. If not, we're going to colonize this guy. However, we can build our colony ships right away. At least we can design them. So the nice thing about Hivers is that since you're going to send your gates first, your colony ships don't need to have any fancy engines on them at all, because they're just going to go through the gates. So that makes them cheaper to build. But we're going to add this suspended animation boost. What the suspended animation does exactly is it means that when you build a colony with your colony ship, it gives it a little bit of infrastructure to start with, and it sends overpopulation as well. So the suspended animation gives you an extra boost and to your colonization effort, so it makes it much more efficient to colonize new planets. You can and should build many colony ships to colonize a single world, especially if if it needs to be terraformed a lot. So if I was going to colonize this, I would send like 10, 15 ships easily to colonize it. Ships with suspended animation. For some races, it might be worth it if you find a really nice system. Like if you're a human, and in the first like 3 or 4 turns you find like a really nice neighboring system, it's probably worth it to just send out, some colony ships that don't have suspended animation. But, for hivers, there's no reason not to have it researched by the time you get to colonization. Hivers have this nice bonus also where just their colony ships are better. Like when you colonize a planet, you get more infrastructure per colony ship than you do for the other races, which is just a nice other perk. Okay, so since we made that mistake last turn and we didn't research anything, I'm just going to get rid of the green pie, and let's just step forward here quickly, because I was talking a lot. Okay, put this tanker away. Nothing happening. So this technology that we're researching, AA, atmospheric adaptation, is like one of the key early techs that you want to get in any game. What it does is because of the increased terraforming efficiency, it helps you essentially digest these new colonies much quicker, which is really important because it's very easy. Oh, something happened. Okay, hold that thought. So this means combat. We don't know combat with what. Well, I can tell you it's going to be one of 3 things. Well, in an unexplored system, it could be something called an asteroid monitor, it could be an alien derelict, it could be an alien swarm, maybe a couple of other things. Now, I'm actually going to hold off on showing you the tactical combat, which I actually think is one of the best parts of this game, but at this stage it's not much to show. So when you want to skip combat or just auto-resolve it, you just click here on this icon right away. There are other options, but for now, this is what we're going to do. So, because basically we're going to lose this no matter what, unless it's alien derelict, but I'd like to show you I'd like to pick a better fight to show you as the first one. So, let's see what actually happened. It looks like it was an alien derelict. Yeah, alien derelict. Okay, and our gate actually beat it, actually destroyed it. So, yeah, so hivers are awesome because their gate ships are good. So we actually destroyed that. So as a side bonus, we get better tech for the next 4 turns. So that's always nice. Actually, if you're playing, well, maybe I should have shown you the battle, but there's this bonus thing where if you, instead of destroying the derelict, if you neutralize it by shooting off all of its turrets, you get a better bonus. But we didn't do that. So, unfortunately, that planet was not colonizable, and neither is this one. Okay, so, you know what? Alright, this guy's one turn. Let's start building some colony ships. We're just going to build a whole bunch of them. And if we don't get anything good next turn, we're going to colonize this guy. Speak of the devil. Okay, so if you look at this guy here, he's got size 7, which is very nice. Almost 5k resources, but much nicer to colonize. So if you compare, when I was talking about that score thing, if you compare these two, this one has about 200 more in the hazard rating, but has better size and better resources. So they're pretty much the same on that score, but I would much prefer colonize in this one earlier on in the game, because to be honest, I mean, that formula is a bit simplistic, and early on in the game you don't want to be spending like a third of your budget just on maintaining one colony. Although spending a third of your budget on colonies in general is not a bad idea, but yeah, not so early in the game. So let's these colonies are going to be plenty to colonize that guy, so let's actually just build more tankers. And the turn. Okay, so we found another world. Not a terrible world. We'll definitely colonize it, but a bit later because it's not super hospitable. Okay, here's another trick. When you colonize, send one colony ship first. Oh, I hit the wrong key there. So send one colony ship first, have it colonize it, and then send the rest in. And the reason you do that is because sometimes you can have these things called colony traps, which will destroy everything in orbit. They won't destroy your gates, which is nice, but pretty much everything else. Like if you had, say, your big fleet happened to be in that system and you try to colonize something and you spring a colony trap, you can lose your entire fleet until you get to like Fusion Era. Then you can outrun it. So that's bad. So we would, we send 10 colonizers and lose all of them. That's pretty silly. So you can spring it with one, and then it'll be safe to colonize with the rest of your fleet. So we're just going to send our gates. Now that we have, now we can finally sort of explore this part of our cluster. It's weird, it almost connects to that cluster over there. Anyways, got it. We're gonna go everywhere, so like I said, it doesn't really matter which ones we send gates to first. Okay. Now this is interesting. See, this is a very easy to colonize world, but low rewards, right? Because it's a small planet and it doesn't have a lot of resources. So, I mean, we'll colonize it maybe because it's basically free, but it's not giving us much. Okay, and we got our atmospheric adaptation tech. So, actually, luckily we got both of these as follow-ons. So, in the bio tree, we can basically just keep researching this terraforming efficiency and environmental tailoring and population growth rate. Sorry. So both of these will increase terraforming efficiency by 35%. So that's going to help us digest, those big planets. It's actually kind of tempting to go for one of these techs right away. So we could do that, or I'll tell you what, why don't we instead build up our economy a little bit here. So these, I'm not going to go for drones as a military thing, but these first technologies have nothing to do with drones, they're just economy related. So this one here allows ships to be built 5% more efficiently, so all the gates, all the colony ships, those are all ships, so this is actually really important, and 20% boost to industrial output. That's really strong. So I'm going to research that tech right away. Now, okay, I told him to colonize, right? Yes, I did. Maybe I didn't say it, but I obviously did. So we'll see next turn if we spring a trap. Okay, so we found an independent colony. They're human. If we fight this, we're going to lose because they've got, defensive satellites and the, planetary missiles and all that. So we can just be peaceful with them, and these independent colonies won't attack you if you don't attack them. So, peace. Now, here's the thing. I could deploy my gate here, and then each turn it's going to keep asking me, you know, do you want to fight or do you want peace? And that's really annoying. And I kind of don't feel like clicking on that button every turn. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy the gate once just so I can use it to scoot over to this next system here. But then I'm actually going to fight and let them kill my gate. And that's just because I'm impatient and I don't want to click on that button every turn. But, you know, if I wanted to play more optimally, I would definitely, you know, bother and click every time. Okay, so we colonized without incident here. I'm going to send all of my guys over. By the way, my gate has expanded now so that I have 27 gate traffic per turn. And destroyers only take 1 space per turn, so I'm sending 9 here. It's not a problem. Let's take a look at this guy. So we colonize it with 1 colony ship with a suspended animation. So we have 2 infrastructure already and about 1,000 population. And next turn, just before I do next turn, I'm just going to queue up some gates. Again. So, you know what I mean? I don't want to have to do this like all the time. It's just kind of annoying. Alright, I'm sending the gate through. Okay, so we're going to colonize now with all of these guys. Notice I'm getting about less than 1 unit of terraforming done per turn. So now that doesn't mean it's going to take 200 turns to terraform it, because this is going to get better, so it's an exponential curve. And I'm building this much infrastructure per turn. Now, I could actually set this slider to, you know, do more terraforming or more infrastructure first. Now, I actually worked this out at some point, you know, to figure out which was more efficient. Another thing that you can do also, by the way, is you can over-harvest to get your planet started quicker, and see how it increases the terraforming by about 20% or something like that. So, and it won't take a lot of your resources, because over-harvesting, the amount of resources it consumes depends on your infrastructure, and since our infrastructure is so low, we can't actually over-harvest that much. Anyways, for this game, I'm just going to keep this as default, but like I said, this is not optimal high strategy playthrough, just to give you a sense of what's going on. And here's what I wanted to show you. So, yes, peace. Okay, so let's look at our colony. We had 2, but I put 9 more, and the hivers gave us 2 infrastructure per, so now my infrastructure is already at 20, and I have doubled the amount of terraforming that I do per turn. And that's huge, because this is an exponential curve, remember. So that's why making a lot of colony ships is well worth the cost, right? All those colony ships cost me maybe like, well, I had like about 300k, right? So it cost me about 300k to make all those colony ships. Well, I'm going to more than make up for that in terms of, right, because this colony is costing me 30,000 per turn, which is gradually diminishing, and it'll diminish faster, you know, the quicker this reduces, this goes down. Anyways, I don't want to bore you with the math, just build a lot of colony ships. That's the moral of the story. Okay, let's get a few more gates built, and we'll end this turn, and then we'll see. Let's just wait and see what we get at this star system over here. See if we get anything interesting. I'm going to let my gate die here. I think we found an unpleasant surprise in both of these places. Actually, it's not so bad. Asteroid Monitor and Alien Swarm. Uh-oh. We will talk about this in the next episode. See you then.